Hello and thanks for joining us for the KREM 2 News Weekend Review. I'm Cody Proctor. Each weekend we walk you through the headlines from this past week in the Inland Northwest. Let's get started with one of the biggest news stories of the past few days.
Well, at the ceremony honoring the two North Idaho battalion chiefs for the first time since the tragedy, we hear from Frank Harwood's wife as well as John Morrison Jr.'s son, who spoke to the crowd thanking them for the community's unwavering support. June 29th, 2025 is a date forever etched into the heart of North Idaho.
Most days the weight of it is almost unbearable, but I've learned to stop looking too far ahead and just be present in the moment.
A day marked by unimaginable loss. But Megan Harwood, the wife of fallen Kootenai County Fire and Rescue Battalion Chief Frank Harwood, told attendees that the day doesn't define her husband, but his heart for public service does.
What defines Frank is the way he lived, the way he served, and the way he loved.
Hundreds gathered in Coeur d'Alene's McEwen Park to honor the fallen, where Joe Morrison, son of late Battalion Chief John Morrison Jr. of Coeur d'Alene Fire Department,
I like refer to him as my best friend,
urged the community to take action on gun violence prevention and mental health.
My dad had a quote. He always told me, "Complacency kills," and that's truer than ever. If we are complacent, if we leave here today and wring our hands and say, "Well, that tragedy was a one-off," I hate to say it, but there'll be many more of these speeches given in the future.
The chiefs of both fire departments say this is a somber anniversary, but it's a day to honor the lives of two extraordinary public servants.
Fire chief, to see just the support from the community, it's been pretty eye-opening and pretty impressive.
He did everything he could to help other people rise to the challenge. He trained them, he educated them, he helped them person by person.
Whose legacy will live on, not only for years to come.
The greatest legacy we can give Frank is to keep living the way he taught us to live, with intention, with love, and with each other.
But in the hearts of the community they served. I'm reporting in Coeur d'Alene, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Here at the intersection of La Crosse Avenue and Kalispell Street, neighbors are dealing with damage and the aftermath of an early morning shooting. After midnight early Monday morning, one neighbor says she was woken up by her dogs barking.
I was about to move out to the front room to lie with the dogs to get them to go quiet so we can go, because we had to go to work in the morning, and that's when I saw the shooting.
Michelle Bull says the alleged shooter came around the corner and started firing at three teenagers running down the street in front of her house. She told her daughter to call 911, and in the chaos, she didn't immediately realize there was damage to her home.
It wasn't until we could actually see, because all of this started at about 1:45. It's pretty dark outside, and then my daughter noticed that we had a hole on the side of the house outside as we were looking at her car.
The bullet went through the siding of the house, through the living room, into a container of trail mix, through the wall, into the shower, until it finally stopped in a stud in the bathroom wall, keeping it from going into Bull's bedroom. Bull says she was sitting on the couch when the bullet went through her house.
The shot was about 3 feet from me, and as Grace was up next to me, it was even closer to her.
Another bullet hit the windshield of her daughter's car, and her next-door neighbor's car had a bullet hole in the bumper. Neighbors say they weren't allowed to leave their houses until the scene was clear, and now they're left to deal with the aftermath.
Maybe do the dishes, get something to eat, maybe sweep this up a little bit. Not too concerned. I'm just glad that she's okay, that I'm okay, the dogs are okay, because that could have been really, really, really bad.
Bull says the shooting doesn't reflect the safety of her neighborhood, a retirement community near the Garland district, and she was reminded of the power of community.
I am telling people that are reaching out to me to hug your loved ones at this point. I mean, it really does make you just kind of slow down and realize what's important. You know what I mean? Like, the dishes can wait, the mess can wait. Probably need to fix that hole because you can see outside. Other than that, yeah.
Spokane police says this is still an ongoing investigation. Reporting in the Garland District, Caitlin Galloway, KREM 2 News.
As we go to break, here's a check of your weekend forecast. Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Weekend Review. It's been a busy week across the Inland Northwest, and we want to help catch you up on some stories you might have missed.
Well, today I spoke with advocacy groups in both Idaho and Washington that represent transgender communities about their response to the Supreme Court's decision. They say today's ruling has left many in their communities feeling grief and fear. Now, supporters of Idaho's law, including Attorney General Raul Labrador, says the ruling preserves fair competition and protects athletic opportunities for girls and women. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled states can limit who can play on women and girls sports teams based on biological sex. The Supreme Court noted the ban does not violate the 14th Amendment or Title IX. Today, 27 states have similar laws in place, including Idaho, that already passed the Fairness in Women's Sports Act in 2020. Today, I spoke with Amy Midstock, chair of the Sandpoint Alliance for Equality in North Idaho. As a parent who raised a transgender child, she says transgender students are more prone to anxiety and depression, and that losing access to the community, mentorship, and other benefits of school sports could be detrimental.
If the solution is that women who are born biological females do not want to share the sports arena with women who are not born biological females, then we need to make sure that there is some solution here that everybody has equal access. And I don't know what that looks like, but I know that we're doing the work to make sure the representation is there in those fields.
Now, Midstock added she predicts more families may move out of Idaho and other states that have transgender athlete bans, and she says there may be more bullying across impacted communities. Now, Idaho Governor Brad Little stated today the ruling is a historic moment for common sense. In Washington state, the Superintendent of Public Instruction, Chris Reichdale, issued a statement in response to the ruling, pointing to state laws that protect against discrimination based on gender identity. He said today's decision reinforces Washington state's ability to adopt and implement our own laws in alignment with our values. Our legislature has been clear. All students are welcome here. And now in my conversations today, I also spoke with leaders of Spokane Pride, which say the ruling is ambiguous. The organization questions what happens when transgender athletes travel to states that enforce bans on their participation in sports. Spokane Pride highlights the execution of the ruling is currently unclear. This is a developing story. For now, I'm reporting in the newsroom. Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
For some people, this Supreme Court case wasn't just another headline, it was personal. As justices weighed in on the future of birthright citizenship, some families were left having difficult conversations about what the future could possibly look like. Today, many are breathing a sigh of relief. After 150 years since it was established, the possibility of a future without birthright citizenship was discussed and ultimately rejected by the nation's highest court.
How many people would be impacted by this?
For months, Jesus Torres, the interim executive director for Latinos in Spokane, says he's been keeping a close eye on this case.
My parents were both undocumented when I was born here in the United States. I was born in LA.
Because it affects people like Torres.
It would not have affected me unless it had been retroactive.
The 14th Amendment was adopted after the Civil War, intending to make sure black people, including former slaves, had citizenship, although the citizenship clause was written more broadly, granting citizenship to everyone born on U.S. soil, with some exceptions, like children of foreign diplomats being born in the U.S., since diplomats are not subject to U.S. laws, or children born during a foreign military occupation of the U.S., which has never happened in our history. The Trump administration argued in Supreme Court filings that birthright citizenship requires being born in the U.S. and being completely subject to U.S. political jurisdiction, and that children of people in the country illegally or temporarily do not meet that test. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson says if there is an avenue that Congress can play to resolve birthright citizenship moving forward, they're interested in doing so.
When the original rule was created, the principle was created, it was to enhance the value of citizenship, and now it's being devalued by that. We think it's been abused. I think it's a problem that a lot of American people recognize is abused.
And while the fight for rights is far from over, Torres says days like today should be celebrated because it proves the judicial system can help everyone.
Personally, for me, I think it just reaffirms the fact that someone like me who has a name like me, who looks like me, who just happened to be born on this side of the border is guaranteed to have their 14th Amendment's rights respected, that we are just as American as anyone else. We don't have to look a certain way. We don't have to speak a certain language. We are Americans by birthright, and that can't be taken away from us.
In Spokane, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Thanks for joining KREM 2 News this weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Right now, we're taking a look back at some of the news stories from the past week.
Washington State University athletics is kicking off the rebirth of the Pac-12 tomorrow with a bang, as today the university announced a landmark 5-year, $8.43 million agreement with the Colville Confederation of Tribes for a jersey sponsorship.
We shared a common vision and a commitment to creating meaningful impact together. This is not simply a sponsorship. It's an authentic relationship, it's a commitment, and it's an investment in people.
Not only is WSU the first Pac-12 institution to land an agreement of this nature, it is also the largest sponsorship agreement in school history.
It's huge. I think it's huge for the university. It's obviously huge for our athletic department. That was our most valuable real estate that we had to offer. And to be able to do it with a partner like this who has ties to the region's influence, shared values and vision to generating new leaders. I think doing this on the eve of the launch of the new Pac-12 is also just going to catapult us into what this next generation, next era of Cougar athletics will be.
Not only will the partnership benefit WSU athletics, there will also be N7 camps and several opportunities for WSU student athletes to interact with tribal children.
I think it's going to be huge for our kids. There's going to be a lot of, as far as like tickets go, there's going to be a lot of tickets that can go for our youth, that we're going to bring a lot of our students here that maybe never have seen a football game, a college football game or a college sport, that we want to get here and show them that, yeah, you can be here. Yeah, you can get an education here. You belong here. Not all of them get that opportunity or haven't had that in the past. So it's really just showing that we belong. That's huge. And then what we do economically, what we do in natural resources, what we do in education and health, and just learning about the Colville tribes in general. I think this will be a good educational component on top of a great partnership with WSU.
It's one thing to just have a logo, but to have the opportunity to do the game entitlements, the camps, get into the tribal communities, and allow our student athletes and coaches to integrate with those members of their youth. I think it's meaningful, it's impactful, and it's not just something that's just right now. It's going to have an impact for generations to come.
The work has already begun to put these new resources into action here at Washington State. As you see behind me, there's a brand new turf field and an incoming new scoreboard here at Giesa Field, which the university hopes to roll out for week 3 of this upcoming football season. For now, reporting in Pullman, Andrew Quinn, KREM 2 Sports.
A Spokane County Superior Court judge ruled Spokane Valley City Council member Al Merkel violated City Council policy and state law by posting city business on his personal social media. The story starts in 2024 when Councilmember Merkel was the subject to an independent investigation accusing him of using his private Nextdoor account for city business. Fellow Councilmember Jessica Yeager formally lodged the complaint on the matter. Court documents reveal Merkel posted summaries and commentary of city council decisions, as well as criticisms of other council members, the mayor, city manager, city attorney, and other city staff. In February of 2025, council members voted unanimously to file a lawsuit against Merkel to compel compliance, after saying he refused to respond to dozens of public records requests relating to his social media content on city business. The suit asked for a judgment determining Merkel's social media posts relating to city business or public record under the Public Records Request Act, a court order for Merkel to comply with the council's social media policy, and an order to provide the city with all of his social media content discussing city business during his time as a council member and preserve future social media content discussing city business. The judge found that content violates the council's social media policy and the Public Records Request Act by failing to reasonably search for and produce those social media records in response to public records requests. The city says the court will proceed to review and approve the final orders. They also released a statement on the judge's ruling saying in part, the city is pleased with the court's ruling, which is consistent with the findings of the prior neutral third-party investigation and city hearing examiner's ruling. We reached out to Councilmember Merkel as well. He released a statement saying he intends to appeal the decision, adding, this ruling raises significant concerns about government transparency and public access to elected officials, effectively justifying why most electeds do not answer messages from the public, a policy I strongly disagree with. We'll continue to follow this story as it develops. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 News. You're watching the Week in Review, where we bring you some of the biggest news stories of the past week.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This credo language in the Declaration of Independence has helped to define the United States of America for 250 years. But
it wasn't considered the most significant part of that document when it was first written.
in fact, it was detailing the frustrations with increasingly oppressive British rule that the founders cared most about as colonists began to consider what their rights were.
They were really focused on the grievances because that it was justifying their separation and the fact that they were now creating free and independent states.
At war with Britain for over a year and badly in need of alliances that other countries would forge only with a sovereign state, the founders were pushed to declare independence in order to gain freedom.
Without that treaty with France and French intervention in helping us in the American Revolution, we don't win the American Revolution.
But getting to a formal declaration was a process. It started as a three-part resolution from Virginia delegate Richard Henry Lee and was further crafted by a group of 5.
Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Robert R. Livingston, and Roger Sherman. The reason why the committee was appointed was, hey, explain why we're separating from Great Britain. And they explain that by creating this Bill of Grievances.
Thomas Jefferson then put pen to paper and brought the ideas to life before finally putting the Declaration up for a vote.
This is the room where it happened. On July 2nd, 1776, you had Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Hancock, and others voting on, and then about a month later, signing the Declaration of Independence.
The Second Continental Congress passed the final wording of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th. Most of the signers are going to sign on August 2nd.
When they affix their names, they believe that they are signing their death warrant.
This willingness to risk their lives, fortunes, and honor not only laid the foundation for the U.S. Constitution, but would also fuel democratic causes across generations, from abolition to suffrage to civil rights.
You can see a direct line between the Declaration of Independence and the UN Declaration of Human Rights. You can see it in specific countries' declarations of independence. Martin Luther King Jr., who refers to it as the Great Promissory Note of America.
What began as a bold break from a king became a blueprint for democracy that is still shaping the world today. I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
Keep it here for more news and weather updates throughout the weekend. And don't forget, you can watch our latest newscasts anytime on the KREM 2 app. Just scan the QR code on your screen to watch for free. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for watching the KREM 2 News Week in Review.